Imagine a world where nobody questions, where assumptions go unchallenged, where power remains unchecked. This was the world Socrates was born into. Thankfully, he wasn't content to leave it that way. This is the story of the man who dared to question everything, and in doing so, changed the course of Western thought. Socrates never wrote a book, he never built an empire. Yet his impact on philosophy, on politics, on how we think, is immeasurable. He gave us not answers, but the tools to find them ourselves. He gave us the power of questions. Born in Athens around 470 BC, Socrates entered a world of vibrant intellectual life. The city was a bustling hub of activity, where the air was thick with the exchange of ideas and the spirit of inquiry. Athens, the cradle of democracy, was abuzz with new ideas. The marketplace, or agora, was not just a place for trade, but a center for conversation and debate. Here, citizens gathered to discuss politics, philosophy, and the nature of existence. Playwrights, poets, philosophers all contributed to a melting pot of thought. The likes of Sophocles, Euripides, and Aristophanes were pushing the boundaries of drama and literature, while philosophers like Anaxagoras and Protagoras were challenging traditional beliefs. Socrates, however, wasn't born into privilege. His upbringing was modest, his home a simple abode that reflected the humble means of his family. His father, a stonemason, and his mother, a midwife, were humble folk. They worked hard to make ends meet, instilling in Socrates a strong work ethic and a sense of duty. Young Socrates, we can imagine, spent his days amidst the dust and chisel blows of his father's workshop. He would have learned the trade, understanding the value of craftsmanship and the importance of precision. But his mind, it seems, was far from the stone. Even as he worked, his thoughts wandered to the larger questions of life. What is justice? What is virtue? What is the purpose of our existence? He yearned for something more, something beyond the material world. The night sky, with its myriad of stars, must have filled him with wonder and a desire to understand the cosmos and his place within it. He found it in the world of ideas. Engaging with the thinkers of his time, Socrates began to develop his own methods of inquiry, laying the groundwork for what would become the Socratic Method, a form of cooperative, argumentative dialogue that seeks to stimulate critical thinking and illuminate ideas. Socrates was no cloistered scholar. He didn't lecture from ivory towers. He took to the streets, the marketplaces, the public spaces of Athens. His classroom was the city itself, his students, anyone willing to engage. And his tool? The question. This was his genius. The Socratic Method, a deceptively simple yet profoundly effective technique of asking questions. Not just any questions, mind you. Targeted, probing questions that stripped away assumptions and forced people to confront their own beliefs. Here's a curious thing about Socrates. He wrote nothing. Not a single scroll, not a single parchment bearing his philosophy survives. We know of him, of his ideas, through the writings of his students, most notably Plato. Imagine that. A man's greatest legacy, his most profound thoughts, entrusted not to ink and papyrus, but to the living memory of others. Plato, in his dialogues, immortalized Socrates, making him a character in his philosophical dramas. Through Plato, we hear the echo of Socrates' voice, the sharp wit, the relentless questioning. Section 5, The Trial of Socrates, A Question of Values. This chapter delves into one of the most pivotal moments in ancient Greek history, a moment that has echoed through the ages, shaping our understanding of philosophy and justice. Socrates' relentless questioning, however, didn't win him only admirers. His method of inquiry, known as the Socratic Method, involved asking probing questions to stimulate critical thinking and to illuminate ideas. While this approach garnered him a following of young, eager minds, it also stirred resentment among those who felt threatened by his challenges to the status quo. His constant prodding of Athenian norms, his questioning of authority, his insistence on truth above all else, made him powerful enemies. Socrates was not one to shy away from controversy. He believed that an unexamined life was not worth living, and this belief drove him to question everything and everyone, including the most revered traditions and leaders of Athens. In 399 BC, he was put on trial. This trial was not just a legal proceeding, it was a clash of values, a confrontation between old and new ways of thinking. The courtroom became a battleground for ideas, with Socrates at the center. defending his life's work and philosophy. The charges? Corrupting the youth of Athens and impiety, essentially not believing in the city's gods. These accusations were serious as they struck at the heart of Athenian society and its religious foundations. To many, Socrates was seen as a dangerous influence, someone who could undermine the very fabric of their community. Socrates, true to himself, used his trial as a platform to continue his questioning, to dissect the charges against him, to expose hypocrisy. He turned the courtroom into a stage for his philosophy, challenging his accusers to think deeply about their own beliefs and the justice of their actions. His defense was not just about saving himself, but about advocating for the pursuit of truth and integrity. He remained defiant, unrepentant, committed to his principles until the very end. Socrates' unwavering stance in the face of death left a lasting legacy, inspiring countless generations to value critical thinking and moral courage. His trial and ultimate execution became a powerful testament to the enduring struggle between truth and power, a question of values that continues to resonate today. Section 6. The Hemlock and the Legacy, a Death, but not an End. The Athenian jury, perhaps unsurprisingly, found Socrates guilty. The sentence? Death. Socrates was given a cup of hemlock, a poison to drink. He accepted his fate with composure, even humor, discussing philosophy with his students until his final breath. Thus died Socrates, a martyr for truth, for reason, for the right to question. His death, however, was not the end. It was the beginning of his legend. His ideas, carried by his students, spread far beyond the confines of Athens. Section 7. Socrates in the modern world, still asking why. Fast forward a couple of millennia. Socrates isn't just an ancient Greek name in a dusty philosophy book. His legacy is very much alive. His method of questioning remains a cornerstone of education, of law, of critical thinking itself. Think about it. When a teacher prods a student with questions, when a lawyer cross-examines a witness, when we challenge our own assumptions, we're all in a way heirs to Socrates. We're engaging in that ancient dance of question and answer, of seeking truth through dialogue. Section 8. The Enduring Power of Questions. Socrates' genius lay not in having all the answers, but in understanding the profound power of questions. He knew that a well-placed question could be more potent than any lecture, any decree, or any dogma. A question forces us to think, to engage deeply, to justify our beliefs. It challenges complacency. It disrupts the status quo. It's the lifeblood of learning, of progress, and of a free and open society. Section 9. Socrates and Critical Thinking, a foundation for progress. In today's world, awash in information, in misinformation, in spin, the ability to think critically is more vital than ever. And who better to guide us than the man who made critical thinking his life's work? The Socratic Method isn't just about asking questions. It's about asking the right questions, about dissecting arguments, about identifying biases, about seeking evidence. It's about not taking things at face value, about being skeptical, about thinking for yourself. Section 10. Beyond the Agora, Socrates' Global Impact. Socrates' influence isn't confined to the Western world. It extends far beyond. His emphasis on self-examination, on dialogue, and on the pursuit of wisdom resonates deeply across various cultures. From the bustling marketplaces of ancient India to the philosophical schools of the East, the spirit of Socrates can be felt and appreciated. His ideas, like ripples in a pond, have spread far and wide, influencing countless thinkers, leaders, and reformers across the globe. Section 11. A Timeless Legacy, Socrates and the Search for Truth. Socrates, the gadfly of Athens, the man who questioned everything, may be long gone. But his legacy, his insatiable curiosity, his unwavering commitment to truth, these remain as relevant as ever. Socrates' method of questioning, known as the Socratic Method, is still used in classrooms and courtrooms around the world. His approach encourages critical thinking and illuminates the path to deeper understanding. In a world grappling with complex challenges, in a world saturated with information and misinformation alike, we need Socrates' spirit more than ever. His teachings remind us that wisdom begins with wonder, and that the pursuit of knowledge is a lifelong journey. We need his courage to question, his commitment to dialogue, his unwavering belief in the power of reason. Socrates taught us that it is not enough to accept things at face value. We must dig deeper, ask questions, and seek the underlying truths. We need to keep asking why. In our personal lives, in our communities, and in our societies, the act of questioning can lead to greater clarity and understanding. It can challenge the status quo and inspire change. That, perhaps, is the greatest tribute we can pay to the father of Western philosophy. By embodying his spirit of inquiry and his dedication to truth, we honor his legacy and continue the quest for wisdom that he began so many centuries ago.